and just help us as we remember the life and the legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. We thank you for being here. We're going to ask our dignitaries to come and greet us. We have them listed on the program, and I'm hopeful that we have everybody listed. Honorable Bill Nelson, Kathy Castor, Pat Frank, and Dr. Rick Weinberg, if they would come in that order.
I want you all to know that when I talked to Congressman John Lewis of Georgia, who was the youngest lieutenant of Dr. King. As a matter of fact, John tells the story how he learned to preach. He grew up on a little farm in South Alabama, and he would go out to the chicken coop with all the chickens, and he would preach to the chickens. And that's how he honed that beautiful oratorical style, then only to be inspired by the style and the words of Dr. King. I asked John, how did you all endure all of those beatings and those jailings and those fire hoses and those dogs? And John said, we would all gather before we ever went to a rally or a march or a sit-in, and we would gather around and hold hands, and we would pray. And what John was telling us is what was scriptural. Moses had his Aaron, Jesus had his disciples, and Dr. King had his group that all came around, and in the spiritual unity, they were able to overcome whatever came to them. John has asked me to come and join him in a couple of months on the anniversary of the March on Selma. And I'm going to have the privilege of marching with him. And I suggested to him that I invite the daughters and the granddaughters of Governor Leroy Collins. And for those of you who don't know, Governor Collins was the special emissary of President Johnson trying to bring about some of the reconciliation in the South during that tumultuous time. And in order to avoid the clash at the bridge in Selma, Governor Collins was only able to catch up with Dr. King on that march toward the bridge that ended up being a great deal of bedlam and tumult. I want to bring the daughters and the granddaughters of Governor Collins to go out there and march with us. It was years later, when Governor Collins was running for the United States Senate, that his opponent, this is as late as 1968, his opponent had a photograph of Governor Collins marching side by side Dr. King on the way to the bridge in Selma. And of course, in 1968 in Florida, there was still a great deal of racial strife, and his opponent was able to utilize that photograph against Governor Collins and defeated him in the election. 10 years later, Governor Collins' opponent was running for his old congressional seat, and there was a young state legislator named Bill Nelson who was his opponent, who ended up sending him into retirement. I want to tell you just one other story. And you all have been so good to me over the years, not only in the 7 years I've had the privilege of representing you in the Senate, but the fact that you've given me a lifetime of public service. This is my 36th year since I first was elected to public office, and I'm grateful. This is an interfaith service, and isn't it so appropriate that we come together when we are in the midst of so much division? Whether it's the division of race, the division of ethnicity, the division of religion, we always seem to want to divide. Whether it's the division of party, whether the division of geography, we always want to divide. And of course, the history of humankind tells us that that division spawns hatred, the hatred spawns war, the war spawns tumult and disaster. There's a better way. And that's what you all are going to celebrate in this interfaith service. I can never forget, on the 24th flight of the space shuttle, when I had the privilege of being a member of that flight crew, orbiting the Earth 98 times, 6 days in space. And it's very typical of space flyers that on the first day, when you have a chance to get to the window, you're looking for things. I was looking for the Cape, I was looking for Florida, I was looking for the Andes coming across South America. By the second day in space, your perspective has grown and you're looking at continents. And by the third day in space, you're looking at home. You're looking at the planet. And as I looked at that beautiful, colorful creation suspended in the middle of nothing, and space is nothing. Space is an airless vacuum that goes on and on for billions of light years, and there in the midst is suspended our home. And what struck me more than anything, as I looked, and out of my mouth came the 19th Psalm, the heavens declare the glory of God, the firmament showeth his handiwork. What I was struck, as I looked at earth, I didn't see the political divisions. I didn't see the ethnic divisions. I didn't see those divisions of religion that spawn so much. I saw us all in it together as one. And in that spirit, I want to thank you for having this interfaith service. Thank you.